What's poppin', ghosts and ghouls? It's your girl SJ, and I got my good friend here with me, Jeff. And together we are the Popcorn Patrol podcast. And today we have another great episode for you. We have a classic movie. What do you call this? A classic slasher, Jeff? Is
Yes.
this what? Yeah,
Slasher.
classic slasher. Yeah, so stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. It's your girl SJ again, and I guess we should get right into the movie. Jeff, how's your week going? First of all, let's do that first.
My week's going pretty good. How about yours?
My week is good. Um, I had to buy a whole bunch of candy. I usually make these uh little bags up for the kids in my kids' class,
Nice.
and I send them with them. So, what's your favorite candy, Halloween candy that you used to look forward to?
I would have to say that it's the same candy. It's just different form, but it's the Reese Buttercups and the
Oh
Reese's
yeah.
Pieces.
Oh,
Those are the
that's a
two.
classic.
Yep, that mixture of chocolate and peanut butter is just delicious.
Okay, y'all gonna comfort me, but you know which
It's the
ones I
candy
like?
corn.
No,
Okay.
it's
Oh,
worse.
so those little toffee things.
It's not the little square caramels. It's the like orange
Oh,
wrapper
yeah, yeah,
ones with
yeah.
the witch on them. Love those.
Yeah. Do you?
So,
Okay, we'll
yeah,
ship
I
all of ours
do.
up to you when our kids are. Do you like your coffee just black, no sugar, no milk? Like, holy.
I do like milk and sugar, but
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't know something about the texture of those
It's
candy.
kind
I
of,
need to make them soft, and because they're so damn hard. You got to suck on them to make them soft, and then
yeah.
it lasts so much longer than the other stuff. I don't know. Something about having the wrapper being able to be open easy. People can shove stuff in it and poison your behind. Like something about that just appealing to me.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that was like my favorite. But I liked getting the chips as well. But if I got regular, I'd be like, oh, regular. But if you got chips, you were lucky in my area growing
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Like if you got chips, you would be happy for sure.
Nice.
Or chocolate, the houses that gave the good chocolate, and you would go there. So it's funny because every Halloween I buy like the nice chocolate because I don't want kids to be like disappointed that they got like an apple, or I don't know. I guess not an apple. No one gives apples anymore, do they?
I don't think so.
No.
When I was a kid, we lived just on the outskirts of town. Like it was still in city limits, but nobody really came to the house. You might have had 10 or 15 kids, but we would hand out the little Cortha dairy chocolate milks. So that's what you would get if you came to
Oh,
the Francis household.
yeah, that sounds good. I
It
could do
was.
some chocolate milk,
It
and
was.
you
Great.
don't really have to check that too much. Now you can't really do all of that. Like I remember people giving, do people still give pop cans? I think they do. Or like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Juice boxes.
Yeah, I've been like kind of out of the loop. My kids go trick or treating, of course, but mostly they get candies and chips. That's pretty much what it is. Maybe one person that we know, because we live in a small town, so one person that we knew they were coming and gave them like extra stuff and gave them a can of pop. So I think they were the only ones, though, really, that did that. Um, but let's get on this movie. Let's talk about this movie. What's our movie today, Jeff?
Well, today is not a Thursday. Today is Friday the 13th,
Hmm.
and we are doing Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I mean, let's get down and review this piece of candy.
Well, Friday the 13th was released in 1980 and it had a budget of $550,000 and it brought in just under 60 million at the box office. It was directed by
Okay.
Sean S. Cunningham. The writers were Victor Miller and Ron Kurtz, and it stars Betsy Palmer, Adrian King, and Janine Taylor. Also, Kevin Bacon has a small role in it too.
He does.
A very
So
young Kevin Bacon.
very young Kevin Bacon, uh, probably the best actor in the movie, in my opinion.
I thought the killer at the end was
Oh, Psycho Mom.
she was
We'll get to that.
good.
We'll get to that,
Yeah.
Jeff. Yeah, so let's talk about the popcorn paradise of this movie. Let's talk what's good about this movie. What did you like about
Any
this movie?
any of the kill scenes, all the kill scenes were great. It was just enough to leave to the imagination, but also when after the killer struck is when you've seen the mess, but you never seen really other than maybe a couple knives to the throats. But no, any of the kill scenes, popcorn paradise for me.
Were they
Oh,
though?
absolutely. Abs
Okay, listen, I have problems with what you're saying right now. I'm just saying, um, okay, so you know that I don't like horror movies and I'm like super scared and stuff, right? I put off watching this movie last out of all the four movies that we had to watch.
oh,
This is the one that I actually watched last because I
okay.
was like, I don't want to be scared. This is probably the scariest out of the three. Jeff picked this. I have no idea what this movie's about, who it's about. I kept getting Freddy and Jason mixed up. Like, I don't know anything. So I went into this movie completely blind, thinking that it was going to be scared. And I was going to be scared. And I wasn't. And those scenes where they're getting slashed, it was like a slow slash. It was like a and then the blood spurts out and I was like, "Oh, no." And maybe I'm just desensitized because of like I watch Game of Thrones, so like to me Game of Thrones is more graphic than that,
I
right?
think the practical effects have come a long way in the 30 years between Friday the 13th, the first one, and Game of Thrones, the first season.
Listen, Jeff, you could say what you want to say, but the acting was bad. Like when they were going down, the only time where I was like mildly impressed was when, okay, you see the dead friend, after like Kevin Bacon and his girl, you get freaky deaky, and you know that the friend's up there with this throat slashed, right? And you see there's like a close up of Kevin Bacon and he lights a cigarette and you don't know what's going to happen, but all of a sudden you see a hand and then you see him get stabbed and you're like, "Oh, I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know that was going to happen."
Well, they
So
kind of set you up for, they kind of give you a bit of a red herring there because when he's laying in the bed smoking his joint, a drop of blood comes onto
yeah,
his
it hits
forehead. It's
it's
leaking through the bunk above him at this point,
right,
and
right.
it drops on his forehead. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to get up and he's going to
And
see
he's going
his
to
dead
see the
friend up
body.
there. And
Right.
no, what happens is what you said, the hand comes across his forehead and they stab him through the
Through
back
like from
up through the bed.
underneath.
Yeah.
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 Um Okay. Also, I want to rewind it back. Okay. I hated the kill music.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's,
He
it
he.
sounded like they were doing Lamaze or
Yeah,
something. It's
yeah,
like, what is this?
yeah.
Stop. And they used it every
Oh yeah.
time. Like, um, it
They'd
was
let you
just
know that that was the killer.
right. They let you know that it was the killer. I mean, let me go back to some of the things that I found okay. I They were trying to do something with the style of this movie. I noticed it was a little Blair Witchy, but you see whenever we see the killer, it's from their point of view.
Yep.
And it is very like Blair Witch style or whatever, moving or cameras moving around and
It's like
everything.
that in a lot of the slasher movies. So like
Oh,
any
is
of the
it?
Scream movies whenever the killer's around, most of the time you see it from the killer's perspective. Most of the time, not every single scene, because there's some
Yeah.
scenes where it's like they're chasing
They're
across the,
fighting.
but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
most of the time it's from the killer's perspective.
And I guess that these modern slasher films, I guess it's taken from these OG slasher films like Friday the 13th, right? Obviously it's an OG, it's been around a long time. It's one that has probably set a precedent. Also, I like that they kind of give you hints throughout the movie that the killer is someone you know. I don't know if you caught that at all. I noticed that there was like little hints here and there where you like the owner of the camp what what's it
The
called
lake.
again? Yeah, Camp Crystal Lake. The owner of Camp Crystal Lake, when he's in the diner and he needs a ride back and he ends up having to um get out of the cop car. Um he sees someone. He's like, "Oh, it's you." So it tells us like we know this person. The person seems non-threatening, but is threatening,
So
right? So I kind of like that.
I've never watched any of the Friday the 13th movies.
Me
This was my
neither.
first time watching one. And I always thought it was Jason that was the
Me
killer.
too. Me
So
too.
I was thinking when the one lady got into the car who was just outside of town,
She was with
got into
Jason,
that Jeep, I'm like, okay, it can't be Jason that's the killer
right?
because he wears a hockey mask, and who is going to get in the Jeep with him wearing his hockey mask?
Right.
And I knew that Jason has always been dead. Like Jason's like
Right.
undead. He's almost like zombie kind of thing. It's
I
mystical.
didn't even know he was a
And
physical person. Like I didn't know if he was a person or if he was an imagination thing or what was going on. And to be honest with you, I didn't know until like the middle of the movie. This movie is okay. This movie, I want to get into my popcorn prison parts, Jeff, because I have so much. This movie doesn't pick up until like 45 minutes in. I was so bored. I was so bored. I was like, okay, come on. Like I have dishes to clean. Like, can we like let's go. And you know, there was this movie is chauvinistic. It's the 80s. I mean, we kind of expect that. But there's this one the beginning scenes when the girl who's coming to the camp with her backpack and she's hitchhiking there and she stops in at the diner. Do you remember that scene?
yeah,
And she's talking to the old guys at the diner or the people at the diner, and the older gentleman goes like, I can drive you there. I'm going up that way in my truck or whatever. And so they end up going in the truck. But when she's getting up into the truck, he literally grabs her ass cheeks and pushes her up into the car. And I'm like, whoa, he could have that could have been done a different way, but she's just like, it's like a little gratuitous. I don't know if that was necessary. Um, but yeah, like I said, this movie is boring AF. And the first like 45, 50 minutes is basically about like a whole bunch of horny ass teenagers. Like that's really all we're seeing.
see,
Because
that's why when you said that the acting was bad, I thought the acting was good because I thought up to that point this story was completely believable. That's what they'd be like. You got the one guy who's trying to hit on the one girl, the other couple is making out. The one girl's lost and she's hitchhiking into the camp, and Buddy. I guess for me the most unbelievable part is the guy is just leaving them all there to go into town for some reason. He seemed like he was really gung-ho to get all this work done, and then
right.
next thing you know he's going into town for the rest of the day to do what. And it didn't look like he had any supplies or anything, maybe the trailer, but it I don't know, but yeah, it was. I liked that. I liked the acting.
I was bored to I was bored to if I want to go see horny ass teenagers, I'm just going to drive past one of the local schools and I will see them all there. Like I don't need to watch 45 minutes of this bull BS. Okay. Um, it was these people are running around playing reindeer games in their underwears all over the place. In the place, it's raining all over. It's raining hard too. It's storming out, and they're running from cabin to cabin in their underpants. I'm like, man, put on some pants if you're going to go outside. Like, it just, I don't know. It was weird. And I was, I was like, mm, eh. Like, it's like, do what you want, you know what? It's your life, live it. Um, yeah. And then you get the scenes where we know that the killer is coming. And I think at around the 50-minute mark, we start seeing more deaths happen because the owner, I think his name was Steven, maybe, he's out and about, um, and it's raining, it's pouring, storming, and that's when we see all the murders take place. But before that, I just want to talk about the snake scene. Do you remember the snake scene? What was the point of that
I
snake
think they
scene?
made reference to it earlier that there was going to be snakes would be in the bedroom or snakes would be in the cabin. They made like a joke about that, and then they're just playing on that. It adds another aspect to the horrorness of this movie.
Really? Really? Really, Jeff? I have those little things living in my backyard. If I want to see snakes, I'm going in the backyard.
Yeah.
Like, I am not, I didn't see the purpose of the snake. I was like, what are they doing? Like, and then they were like wrecking the whole cabin. What kind of pillows? Where did they buy those pillows? All the feathers were flying all over the place. I'm like, girl, you better take those pillows back to Home Sense or wherever you got them because the pillows are just losing control. And then finally, the guy chops the snake's head off. And if that wasn't good enough, he does it again. He's like, chop, bang. And I was like, okay, all right. It's
Well,
a
he
little
started at the
extra.
tail. That's
Yeah.
why
Oh,
he
okay.
cut off like 6 inches at the tail, and then he cut it again a little bit further up, and then that's
Yeah.
when they make the joke. It's like either I killed it or it's a really short snake with an equal sized clone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just weird and boring. Like, I found myself skipping through like 10-second increments of the movie.
Oh, really? Oh
Yeah,
no.
except like up until the 45-50 minute mark. And then
I
after I
have a
never
duty
watched.
to our Popcorn Patrol fans to watch the movie through, no matter how terrible or good the movie is.
So bad,
I have a
guys.
duty to watch the movie through to our fans, our
Uh,
dedicated fans.
Listen, it's not that I just didn't like it
That's okay. It's not for everybody.
at all. And like, I wasn't scared. I was waiting for a time when I would be like scared or like a jump scare would happen. Um, there was only one time that felt kind of intense, and we're going to talk about it. We're getting into it now. We're talking about Jason's crazy ass mom coming to the cabins, to the camp. And when she shows up in her Jeep, I said, who is this lady now? Why is she coming here with her nosy self? And she comes and she's like, I'm just a neighbor. And I'm here to, you're here to do what? What are you here to do? That's in my head. That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, no, she's fishy. Um, and then she start to act up and act out. And we know that we learn that she's Jason's mom, and she's angry because she feels that um people didn't pay attention to her son while her son was calling out and drowning. The count cabin leaders or whatever were fooling around and
Yeah.
didn't, you know, so she blames them. And she starts to get psycho, like real crazy, like crazy. And she was decent. She was not a bad actor you know, she did her part. She played her part. Um, the close-ups of her teeth were a little unnecessary. I didn't need to know what dental work she had done, but you know, I don't know. It is what it is. Like, and then the breathing music. I'm like, okay, so no one's having a baby. Calm down. Just go. You should have took your deep breaths outside before you came inside to slash people up. Okay, like that's how I felt about it. Um, all in all, would I watch this movie again? Nah, boo. I ain't watching this movie again. This was a waste of my MF time. Uh, I would rather watch paint peel. I would rather do dishes. I would rather scrub the floors with a toothbrush. It's a small itty bit. No, it's a kid size. This is a kid size popcorn for me. Jeff,
Oh, kid size.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not going to give it an extra large or a
No?
large. I'm going to give it a medium popcorn.
Wow, that's generous.
I thought this movie was a bit tame. I was expecting to be a little bit more scared. If
Yeah, me too.
I'd have
Me
known
too.
that it was going to be this uh cheesy is the word, then I would have probably watched it a lot sooner. I'm sure as they go and
Oh, I'm sure as
go
they
up
get more
there,
modern and
there's like
stuff, it
I don't know,
probably
there's like
changes.
15 of them or something ridiculous.
Really? We have to
Yes.
watch 15 of these?
Yeah. Well, if we watch them every Friday the 13th, then we don't.
Yeah,
So,
right. That's
I
true.
think
That's
the next Friday the 13th is like next September. So,
okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, this is a kid size popcorn for me. I'm not watching again. Um, yeah, guys, don't watch this movie. If you want to watch Friday the 13th, start at like number 5 or something. I don't know. That's my that's my
All right.
personal opinion.
There we
Jeff,
have it. Medium from me, kids from SJ. That's all we got for you this week, folks. Like us on social media. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Rate and review us. The more we get, the better. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Threads. We're pretty much everywhere that there's social media. And
yep, and next week we've got Edward Scissorhands, and then we're gonna end it all off with
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas. And just before we go, I have a little mom joke for you, Jeff.
All right. Let's hear it.
All right, what happens when pumpkins drink the alcohol?
I don't know.
They get smashed. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I said that with gusto. Uh, you know, popcorn patrol out. That's how we roll. Peace.